So I always loved to entertain. And then when I got married, I married someone who also loved to entertain. So we would always have parties and have people at the house, and people always ask me about catering. So it's like, okay, well, I don't know, and tell me what you want, and I'll prepare some stuff. But then when we moved here to Atlanta, I wanted to take the plunge and say, well, maybe I should maybe consider making a business out of this. So, long story short, started doing some personal chefing, just some private parties for some people that I knew. Was introduced to someone that was the accountant of the very first restaurant that I've owned, and did a dinner party for he and his wife, and he introduced me to the owners that wanted to sell the restaurant, and that's how I got started. I mean, my first outside of the private chefing and the catering, I got my first introduction to a real restaurant was a fine dining restaurant. And I had zero restaurant experience. I had never even worked at McDonald's. So it was a journey to learn that business and learn that space. But, I had a good staff. I had a good supporting, staff. So that's actually how I got started. I'm not culinary trained, but I've been in the business for almost 16 years now. And I've been blessed to be able to do so many things within this space.
So I have to include Kerry, because I don't think I told Kerry this story, but so I used to, when I was in my corporate life, we used to go to Chef Paula's restaurant all the time. I mean, like every time we got a chance, we would go. And I didn't know Paula at the time. And I ended up, because I loved the restaurant so much, it was so nice. It's so different, and it had a different feel. It was in a historic district, much like Courts and Cuvée, in a historic district in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I just loved it. I used to try to get there every opportunity. So I ended up having my bridal luncheon at Chef Paula's. Still did not know her. Okay, so let me just say, this is like full circle kind of thing. And this is like, so Kerry will totally like love this story, because it is like kismet that we would, we would totally reconnect again, right? And so we had a mutual, I would call him a mentor in the wine space, who passed away. And we met up again at his memorial service. And we started to talk. She said she lived in Conyers. I explained that I would be opening a wine shop in Conyers, and almost instantly and I told her, and she told me she owned Sycamore Grill. I was like, oh my God, I'm like the myth, the legend, because I love the restaurant so much. And who would have ever thought we would have met again later as a result of the demise of one of our, I think he was a totally trusted mentor for both of us in the wine space. He owned Vino Venue here in Atlanta, and I had tutelage under him for my CSW and my WSET 2. And so we connected in a way, and we never lost it. And so from that, I mean, that was like years ago. I've been married for 14 years, really. And so it was just, it was just an amazing. So I don't want to belabor that, but I knew Kerry would appreciate that story.
I love full circle stories. Yeah. That's a total like instant connection to that's like part of your heart. I mean, that's part of the whole spirit of the whole thing is that we're really highlighting and emphasizing this connection that we all have to each other in the food and wine world. And it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Yeah. And we just started talking so at that event, and she said, oh, I'm getting ready to open a wine shop. Great, I just started doing wine events and food events in Conyers. Well, I want to do a wine festival. Oh, so do I. So I mean, we just have that connection and that shared passion and a vision of where we saw, the whole wine and food thing becoming, more of a focal point here in Old Town and in Conyers, and taking that to another level here. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a wine sister story right there.
That's a wine sister story. That's a wine sister foodie.
It is
like all of that, all rolled up into one story.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I mean, you know, these are like my worlds colliding, you know. I love it. And then, so Chef Paula, can you tell us, and we'll break to our next wine, what you love most about being a chef? Can you tell us that?
I love creating. I mean, I, again, been blessed to do so many different things in this business. I, owned a couple of restaurant concepts. I've done catering. I've done private chefing. But I realized, and we'll get into it a little more with this shelter in place with this whole pandemic, I realized I love creating. I'm like a mad scientist in the kitchen. I love putting ingredients together. I love doing something or creating something that's different from what's out there. I love fusion. I love combining stuff that makes no sense and seeing what product is gonna be developed from it. So I just love the creative part of being a chef. I love the art of that. I love doing really good food. I love making it pretty. I love pretty plating. I love everything about the art of cooking is what I love. So yeah, and I love it when, people love what I do. So I do it, just for that reason. So, yeah.
Well, we love what you do, Chef Paula, because, I have been privy to many of your dishes, and I always welcome them because it is such a nice treat, and everything is just delicious, and everybody loves your food. I mean, you have been like the sought after chef in our town, like for like a minute. So I mean, you really do come up with some amazing dishes. And with that being said, I'm gonna kind of cut away to the first wine for the evening.
I'm hungry though, Paula. I'm already like thinking about dinner now.
And I'm sitting here. Y'all can't see it, but I'm sitting here. I got my little cheese spread and my little nuts right here. I'm like, okay, so you can't be like just gobbling up on the Zoom call. But I had to get a little cheese with my bubbly. So
can you pan down to it? Can you just make your mouth water a little bit?
Well, I'm just, I've already eaten like some of it. It's like, I don't know if y'all can.
This is what she does. She always acts like it's like nothing, and it's always a big something.
I needed a little nibble.
A beautiful charcuterie plate. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Unbelievable.
Right.
So I just thought, because it's so hot in Oregon, I heard on the news, and it's so hot here in Georgia. It's like really hot. I decided to go with a little prosecco.
Show us the label.
It's a Cielo prosecco.
Okay. Ooh, nice.
And
I love that
prosecco
one.
for intensive purposes is grown. The grape is glera, and it's grown in Veneto, in the northern part of Italy. Actually, prosecco is actually named after a little town in Italy. And it is really my alternative to champagne. It's not made in the method champenoise method. And so with that, you don't have the riddling, you don't have the rebottling. And so the process is a lot simpler. And so it is a great value. And if you like a little bubbly, as a base for your mimosas, it's a beautiful complement to that. You can use it as an aperitif before you have a meal. And I just absolutely love it. The bubbles are great. And it's just a good value. I mean, so if you want to spend, $50, $60, $100, $300, $500 on a bottle of champagne to put juice in it, you can, or you can just put a little juice in some prosecco and call it a mimosa and carry on.
Okay.
It swirls just as good. Yeah. The bubbles are just as good, and I think it is an amazing little sip. And so I love prosecco. We sell a ton of it. I think it is like, I call it, I don't even call it the poor man's champagne. I think it is like the go-to sparkling, if you don't want to break the bank and buy champagne. I have nothing against champagne. I love champagne, trust me. But I think it is a great alternative. And so a lot of people don't know about it, but mostly all prosecco is primarily Glera, is the varietal, and it's a beautiful little bubbly. We drink it a lot. I mean, if it's hot, I mean, you can go through some bubbly here in Atlanta because it is like very humid, very hot.
It's so hot.
Yeah, so if you're doing
so
deck
hot.
life or pool life or, you know, porch life, whatever, this little prosecco is delicious. I love it.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
So,
what do you think your greatest culinary achievement is so far, Chef Paula? You know, just kind of
wow.
what are you most proud of in your career?
Well, I've done a lot, but I would have to say, and you know, Regina can attest to this. I think for me is the wine dinner that we did with the Old Town Conyers Wine Festival.
I love that.
I never imagined. Yeah, I've never imagined that I would be able to prepare and present a 5-course wine dinner with for 175 people out of a food truck. So the coordination
it was a food truck.
out of a food truck.
Oh my gosh!
Out of a food truck, and it was an outdoor pavilion.
Right.
The venue was gorgeous. It was just so picturesque. It was gorgeous, but unfortunately, it did not have a working kitchen. All it had was a prep kitchen.
Oh
So we had to enlist the services of a food truck. So between the shopping, the prepping, the staging, 475 people plated each course. And Regina did a magnificent job with the wine pairings on each course. Plus, we had 3 past hors d'oeuvres in the for the bubbly reception. So I would have to say that has been my biggest achievement because it actually took everything that I've ever done and added a whole lot of patience and calmness to it. I'm surprised that, you know, when you work in the restaurant business, it's fast paced, especially if it's a fine dining restaurant. But everything just came together for that. And I think to date, that's my biggest accomplishment. We're looking forward to doing it again this year, but
I think people are still amazed. People are still amazed that culinary experience came out of a food truck. They're like, yeah, no way. She must have, you know, and I was a witness to it. So I could see all the back end stuff going on. So trust me, it was like a feat of, like, she was like Wonder Woman back there.
That's a whole episode in itself.
That's a whole other episode.
Serving them out of a food. I mean, you cooked it in a food truck.
And it was all fine dining setup. We had the plates for each course.
Yeah.
We had a salad course, we had soup course, entree, seafood course, and dessert. So it was, but I have to say, and I'm so grateful for my supporting cast, because you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
And we did it 2 years in a row with that same crew, and we're looking forward to resuming that when we're able to do it. But you can't, you know, in this business, you have to be surrounded with a good staff that see your vision and that are willing to do, it's hard work to do what we do, and they're willing to get in the trenches and support you in that endeavor. So I can't take the credit alone, but you know, it was amazing. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I think I shared the video with Kerry, and she was just like totally taken aback by what you were able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I think that kind of accomplishment that inspires people that want to get into the cooking, you know, the food and wine business, to show that you can pull that off. And you know, that's great. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah. So awesome. I think it's time to taste some Pinot Grigio over on my end.
Okay, let's go for it.
I just poured a little bit of Pinot Grigio here. Here's the label. You guys see that?
Cool.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Venetia region. And this is a fun little standout. I'm sure you can also get lovely Pinot Grigios at Regina's store. I, however, on the West Coast was not able to go to Regina's lovely store, Cokes and Cuvée, as much as I cannot wait to walk through the doors of that wonderful establishment.
Oh, yeah. We can't wait to get you down here.
Right? I went to Trader Joe's. So, and I think you guys have a Trader Joe's there too, right?
Yes, we do have Trader Joe's. Yes. And we love, I own a wine shop, but we really want to get the wine out to the people. So I can't house all the wines in the whole wide world in my shop. It's only 1,100 square feet. So we want to expose people to as many wines as possible.
Right. So.
But you do a great job.
I know. I mean, she's amazing. And so I think when I think about wines of the world, I immediately think about Regina and all of the different wine tastings that you've done, South African wine tasting, and that's a whole nother episode because I could just sit here and think about all the regions of the world and finding them in your store. And but this little number right here, this Pinot Gris is from Italy. And it's been a stalwart of the Trader Joe's lineup ever since about they started. And it started out, I think, at about, this is so crazy. I think it was $1.99 when it first started. What? And now it's up to $4.50. Right. And now it's like up to $4.50. So I'm telling you, you cannot beat it. You cannot beat it. Of course, you do have
double in value. Yeah.
Right. It doubled in value. It's just like the Prisoner Wine Company.
It is. Right. So I grew up on one of the, well, it sounds a lot more glamorous than it was, but I grew up on one of the first vineyards, the Pinot Noir vineyards in the state of Oregon. But don't get me wrong. I love world-class Pinot Noir, and I love my, $4.59 Pinot Grigio from Trader Joe's too. So there's a place for all wine in the world.
Yes.
And,
it is.
Yeah. So I would like to ask you, Chef Paula, what do you think, for people tuning in, what do you think your words of wisdom are for those people who want to become a chef? What do you think is a good pathway?
Well, first of all, know that it's hard work. It may not be the craziness you see on television, but it's also not the glitz and glamour.
Right.
You don't have, a lot of times, with the Food Network and a lot of the other food, the shows, a lot of stuff is prepped for those chefs. They can come there looking glamorous, everything. You don't see the behind the scenes. But when you run your own business, you are the behind the scenes. And sometimes you may have to work 14, 16, 18-hour days only to turn back around and do it again the next day. So know that it's hard work. And know that sometimes it takes a while for you to see like financial success or recognition in this business. So I would say see your journey as a marathon and not a sprint. And don't forget to celebrate the small successes along the way, because sometimes that's all you have to hold on to is those times where you can pat yourself on the back. What you accomplished, and a lot of people may not see it, and it may take a while to see the financial rewards and the recognition to do it. So just celebrate your little small journeys along the way. Know that it's hard work. Don't forget why you got into it. I think a lot of people have either the passion to cook or the dream of building a business, and they do it because they love to do it. But once you decide to earn your living that way, it becomes a business. And everything, sometimes the creativity and the passion goes out of the window. I can tell you, I've probably gotten burned out maybe about 4 or 5 times in the last 15 years that I've been doing this, where I completely lost my passion because I'm so anal about business that everything is focused on business, and I've lost the passion of cooking. So I would say also continue to feed your passion and allow yourself to still be creative. Allow yourself to be open to how your business evolves and how you evolve as a chef. I'm a much better chef today than I was when I first opened my first restaurant. And that was because I'm never afraid to try something new. So just stay fresh, remember your passion, and then see it as a marathon. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's very smart to look at it in the big picture, long term. Long term for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think your biggest challenges have been during the pandemic? How have you been coping? Because you're still coping and you're still working, and that's so impressive. What do you think some of your
here's the thing.
are?
Well, here's the thing. About 95% of what I do or what I've done within the last couple of years has been centered around events. So when we had the first shutdown, all of my events were either canceled or postponed. So I've been working really hard over the last couple of years. So I actually was glad to get that downtime, that break. I'm tired. I can sit home, drink wine all day, and don't have to worry about anything. Yeah. But as the months went on, I started getting bored.
Right.
And boredom turns into frustration. So what I'm doing now is, as I mentioned in the last, for the last question, is I'm reigniting my passion. What people come to me for and what my clients look for is the experience. It's the food and wine pairing experience. It's the fellowship of the people that are coming together. And it was difficult for me to transition that to the virtual world. So I kind of got a little lost for a minute in terms of what it is I'm going to do. So now, with still a lot of uncertainty ahead of us between now and the end of the year, I wanted to redirect that energy to more of my creative side. So I'm in the kitchen. I'm mad scientist again. I'm in the kitchen. I'm creating some new recipes for a new gourmet product line that I've been working on. So the challenge is people use the word pivot, but I've been pivoting for 16 years. I've been pivoting and doing this and doing that, and so that's not a new term for me.
Always pivoting. Yeah.
We're always pivoting. So I think the challenge for me is not to get frustrated for the prolonged downtime, but to take that energy and put it into something where I can be creative in this space.
Very well put. And that makes total sense because you probably, when things ramp back up again and you're serving those 480 people out of a food truck, you'll look back and say, wow, that downtime was really productive, and you created new things. And so that's great. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
As hard as it's been on all of us,
and
to find something creative is awesome.
Yeah. And Kerry and I connect on that level because we are like total creative people, and we don't, we tend not to go to the, day to day. We just think big dreams and big visions, which is okay, because that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think I referred to you, Chef Paula, as a mad scientist. I think I did refer to you like that with no negative content.
Tell me what one of those recipes, tell me what one of those dishes is that you create. The mad scientist dish.
Well, it's not really a dish. Regina, I don't know if she shared with you or not. I have one of my brands is called For Winos Only, and I create food and a wine. It's called For Winos Only, and I do wine-inspired food products. Like I make a fusion wine spread. I have a chocolate pate. I make fusion wine syrups. So I didn't want to just have everything under the wine space, and there are a couple of things that I like to enjoy at home and my family likes to enjoy. So I'm working on that. I don't want to share it just yet because I'm still testing, but I guarantee you guys will be the first to know when I do it. But it's all indulgence. It's decadence on another level. So
that's so cool.
Hopefully within the next few weeks I'll be able to give you a little more information on it, but I still got to kind of keep it under wraps.
Oh yeah, well
she's still in the lab.
Laboratory. You're in the lab.
I'm in the lab still.
I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
I love that.
Yeah. So that's
Regina.
Yeah. So I just want to bring in another wine that we're going to talk about tonight. This is a little Pinot Noir that comes out of Sicily, and it's from Saddlebred Cellars. And actually, one of my Saddlebred Cellars, and so it's out of Sicily. So I never have tasted Pinot out of Sicily ever. One of my customers said, "Oh, I love this. You got to bring it in the shop." So I said, because I don't put anything on the shelf that I don't taste. And I had my distributor bring it in, and I tasted it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!"
Right.
And so I did. I brought it in, and I let them taste with me. And I thought, "Oh my God, I didn't ever think I would be having a Pinot out of Sicily," because if you think about, Italy, it's a boot, and so the bottom of the boot, they refer to it as the toe, the heel, the ankle, and the heel. This comes out of the toe of Italy. So what's surrounding that is Camplia, and then Puglia, and Basilicata. But this one's coming out of Sicily, and it is one of our best sellers. And I'm not saying that just because but it truly is people see this out beyond anything. And it is such a great value. And it is so plush. The tannins are so silky. And so people really gravitate to this wine. So when I think about a red wine to introduce someone who says, "Oh, I don't like red wines," I always introduce them to this one, and they always love it. So even if you're not a red wine drinker, this is one that's very palatable. I think it is lovely, and it's coming out of Sicily. I mean, it's such a lovely little wine. It's full of red fruits and black fruits, and the tannins. When I say the tannins, those the skins, the stems, and the seeds. You don't have to worry about any kind of bite in the back.
Right.
It just kind of rolls down your throat. It's beautiful. I love it.
Okay.
And we've had it almost since we started the shop. And again, it's not because it's in my shop, but it's just a really nice little wine. So you can find this wine. I would say you won't find it at the grocery stores, but if you have a wine shop in your neighborhood, make sure they get this one in. It's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. It is delicious.
Yum.
So I think it's a lovely little wine, and I mean, like I said, I drink it a lot, and then we have so many customers that are requesting it. It is just a easy drinking, and Pinot Noir is one of the lightest grapes varietals that you can drink. And in this heat, you don't want a big old heavy Napa Cab to knock you over the head. Not that you can't drink Napa Cabs. But if you're out on the deck sipping, it is not, it's about 11.5% alcohol. And so it is, it's just a lovely little treat.
Wonderful. And what would you say is a good food pairing wine with that? What would you put with that, Chef Paula? What do you think with red wine? One of your favorites?
Well, Pinot Noir is really, really versatile, as Regina said. It's like a medium body. So when I tell people about food and wine pairing, it's not just the traditional. If you're having, drinking white wine, it's seafood or chicken, or if you're having red wine, it's steak or pork or whatever. It's really more of how the food is prepared. And because Pinot Noir is so versatile, I can see that going with either a roasted chicken or a barbecue chicken, or even a roasted or braised lamb, or it's more of the preparation of the food and how it's prepared in the sauce. You pair those types of wines that's going to bring out or complement, and not just, okay, I'm having a red wine, so I need a steak. Pinot is a little light, so you're not going to do it with a big heavy steak. But really, if you're roasting or braising meat, whether it's chicken, pork, or even like a lamb. I think that would be a good pairing. And as far as like cheese and, charcuterie, it's a really good pairing with your cured meats. So charcuterie would be great. And then some of your firmer cheese, like your manchegos, your mahans, your ibericos. So something that can really have some weight to it. That's a good pairing as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I got so excited about the whole food and wine thing, Regina, I got off track. I'm sorry.
No, we gotta have the food and wine pairings. We literally have to have
the whole Italian thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I love working with Chef Paula because she comes up with some amazing, like, I don't want to call them concoctions, but just amazing dishes. And then it really tests my like wine knowledge of like, how do I pair something with, she's got, like a whole like crab, stuffed, whatever. And I'm like, okay, Chef Paula, what do you want me to do with this? Okay, so, but she is amazing with that. And so I have really loved working with her on that, those pairings. And pairings are one of the things that, we've talked about many, many times about how do we pair the right things with the right dishes. But when you have someone that is like a creative mind in the kitchen, you kind of have to wait till they come up with the dish, and then you kind of say, okay, I'm going to pair whatever with this. Yeah.
And it's created the experience. I think when I got bit by the food and wine pairing bug, at the restaurant when we had our first winemakers dinner. One of my distributors said, hey, I got a winemaker in town, they want to come to the restaurant and do a dinner. And they gave me a list of the wines, and it was like, okay, this is a challenge. And I think I was excited how the guests were inspired and they really enjoyed the pairings. Because, when you create in the kitchen and, you get a menu and people order the food, and in the kitchen, you actually put the food out, you're not seeing from your service standpoint what wine are they recommending to go with that. But when you're having to curate something and you know what wines are going to be poured, and then when you see the actual result, and then people are enjoying like something that they may have had at your restaurant before, but now you've paired it with a certain wine, it just took it to another level. So it's almost like a synergy. And that excites me, and I really love the food and wine pairing aspect. And Regina has a good rate. She's saying that, but it's been easy to pair with her because she's a foodie too. So she gets it. So she knows and she gets it that if I tell her, I've had in my private dinners, I've created a menu and I say, hey, Regina, I have this menu. What do you think will go well with that? And because she has such a verse of different types of wines at the shop, it's like I presented it to the clients and they're like, this is amazing. And one in particular that I didn't even think would go well with it, they said it was the very best pairing of the night. And so I like working with wine people that also get food. So it's not a difficult, it's more like a yin and yang kind of thing, but
it's a yang.
I like that.
Yeah. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. Wow.
So Paula, I know you have worked with many people in your career. So if you could choose anyone that you could collaborate with, who would it be and why?
I had to think about this one, but I would still have to say Barolo D'Asti. He actually inspired me. Bam. He was was an executive chef at Commander's Palace, which is one of my really favorite restaurants in New Orleans, before he actually moved on and opened his own concepts. But he made cooking fun. He was like one of the first cooking show hosts. He had the studio audience, and it was that live feedback. So it's not like today you got the, everything is taped. He had the people there, and he entertained them. He made it fun. He's a classically trained chef, but he took it to a level where it's about the experience. And he actually is my quote unquote unofficial mentor. I don't know him. I've never met him. I would love to. But his way, his style, and it was in your face, but it made everybody feel like you're a welcome guest in his place. His food is amazing. All of his concepts were amazing, but he just made cooking fun. He took the frou-frou out of it, even though he prepared like really, really good food. He just made it fun. So that inspired me to really do some of the things that I'm doing. So if I could ever collaborate with him, Emerald, if you're listening, call me.
Okay, so we're about to be large, live and in charge. So yeah, Emerald Lagasse is likely to be on this show, and so we will definitely pass that on to him as we progress through this journey of ours.
But you're gonna have to hold on a minute, Emerald.
Okay, yeah, Emerald,
right,
yes, for sure. And so Paula. Kerry tapped me on the shoulder, and I'm so thankful for her because she tapped me on the shoulder about this whole concept about highlighting people and the whole diversity and inclusiveness aspect of what we're trying to do. And so we have to ask, and we are asking everybody this question: why is diversity and inclusiveness important to you in your business?
Well, because I went the whole traditional route with school and college, and I tell you guys when I was little, I always loved to cook. But I really believe that I never really considered it as a career because I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me back then. I'm not really trying to tell my age, but, there weren't a lot of cooking shows that represented women or even women of color. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I never really seriously considered it as a career. We live in a cultural melting pot, and every little local community, we see diversity. We see the women-owned business. We see the ethnicity in local communities. But, for a while, it hadn't really been reflected on television and what you see. And that's usually how kids are inspired in terms of what they see. But I'm excited now because I'm starting to see a lot more of that. I'm starting to see more diversity on the shows because, in my field, it's predominantly white males that were dominating everything in this industry. Not just what you see on television, but in restaurants, your executive chefs, your senior level, positions within a restaurant hierarchy. And then, but when you look at who's actually putting that food out, who's actually cooking the food, it was a really, really diverse group. I'm seeing that more and more. I'm seeing more women trying things. I'm seeing more ethnicity, more cultural, taste and flavors that, I love the word fusion. Everything is kind of coming together and not only on TV. I love it. Love fusion. And now, and with social media, you're not waiting to see what's coming on Food Network. I love Food Network. But now you got YouTube and you have podcasts and you have so many I love this new millennial generation because they're not afraid to try anything and they're putting their passions out for everyone to see. So I think we're now in a space and where we're seeing more inclusiveness, we're seeing more diversity, we're seeing more people that are getting out there and trying. And, I've been in this business for almost 16 years and I'm still inspired by them.
Yeah.
Because they're going after it.
Right
without fear, they're going after it.
Inspired after 16 years.
Yes. You have to be.
Exactly.
You have to be. Because if you refuse to, you got to keep learning. You have to keep getting inspired because you will get stale, you will get bored, and you will burn out. So it is inspiring to see this younger generation getting out there doing the thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Kerry, we know a little bit about just keeping, being inspired and staying inspired. And we, I think it's a great thing that, you have that as a part of your business structure, diversity and inclusiveness. Because I think when we talk about food and wine, we can't help but to be diverse. I mean, we love wines from all over the world. We don't care where they come from, right? We love it, and we love food from all over the world. And so we get different spices and different recipes and different everything from all over the world. And so that to me is like the whole, I mean, I think food and wine is, you know, like the catalyst for the human experience, because we drink wines from all over the world. We don't care who made it. We don't care
what color they are.
We don't care what color they are. We just like the wine. We like what's in the glass, and where it comes from is irrelevant. Yeah.
Right.
So,
right. Well,
so Kerry, I think you have another little lovely from Italy. So we've been staying in Italy all night. If you notice the trend, we've had prosecco, we've had Pinot Grigio, we've had a little Pinot Noir from Sicily, and we're gonna end the night with this lovely wine that Kerry is gonna present to us. And what is that, Kerry?
And by the way, Paula, I was inspired by what you said, because, you know, you're inspiring a whole new generation too. So that's really cool. But anyway, on with the Barbera. The problem is, you know, we don't have enough time. We could have like 3-hour conversations right now, but, you know, I guess we need to keep it a little here with our Barbera. So this also was from Trader Joe's.
Wow.
I know. And although I think you probably got some lovely Barberas in your shop too, my friend Regina.
But it's not about prosecco tonight. It's about conversations, diversity, inclusiveness, and highlighting these amazing people.
I know. And the wine in general of Barbera is kind of a highlight for me in the summer, especially in August, because it's really, really remarkably low in tannins, but high in acidity. So it's kind of crisp. It's kind of that thing like a Pinot Grigio would almost have in a red wine.
Exactly.
Right. And it's dry. So, you know, or mostly dry. And so you don't get that really, the heavy tannins, you really want those in about November.
Like when it's really cold and you need something to warm your body up.
Right. So this is just really, it's a perfect August wine wherever you are in the world. And the wonderful thing about it is it's really representative of the beautiful state of Italy. It's from the Piedmont region, country of Italy, from the Piedmont region.
Piemonte.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, my
Piemonte, they would say.
Listen to Regina talk. You know, your beautiful accent, right? So it's mostly globally produced in Italy. However, in the United States, I think there's about 50,000 gallons annually in Italy. There's about approximately, give or take 11,000 gallons annually produced in the United States, and then 250 gallons produced in Australia.
Wow, who would have known?
Right. So people can call in if they know other places too, but that's, you know, what I came up with is that interestingly, Italy and the United States and Australia are the 3 biggest producers of Barbera, although I'm sure it's produced.
I would have never thought Australia would have been a producer of Barbero D'Asti.
Right, who knew?
Who knew?
Wow.
So anyway, there you go. Little Barbera in August.
A little Barbera in August. Never hurt anybody.
That's right.
So
awesome.
Awesome.
Commonalities too, back to our just unification and, you know, in conclusion of this whole conversation is, you know, wine and food is a bonding thing, and there's commonalities and connections, and that's what we're trying to highlight here is that we are trying to amplify diverse people's voices from all over the world and the common experience of tasting a nice glass of wine and talking about creative recipes in the kitchen that we're doing, like Chef Paula, during the middle of COVID. You know, we're all
in the middle of COVID. I mean,
we're all on the globe together. I mean, and we're all coping together.
We're all coping,
right.
And we're always dealing with something, you know, because I think about, you know, I was talking to someone, they were saying, oh, the last time I saw you was at your anniversary on February 29th, and I have not seen that person since then, and this is now August.
Right.
And it's because of COVID. I mean, obviously, we would love to be doing tastings. We would love to be together, but we really have a responsibility to each and every other person in this world, each and every other human being, to do what's right. And what I think is right is to protect other people from this pandemic.
Right. And I don't want to say positive, but the only one of the little shred wonderful things is that we get to have the time now to connect like we're doing right now.
Right, because otherwise I would be, you know, what they say, balls to the wall at the shop and doing other things. And then, even though, you know.
And 50 years would go by and we wouldn't have talked to each other.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. But, you know, there is a reason and a season for everything. And so we were able to connect and do this. And we will highlight so many more and make so many more connections as we go through our journey. And Chef Paula, I just want to thank you because, you know, you have been—
You're welcome. I enjoyed this.
You've been a great inspiration to me from the first time we talked to now. You know, I think about that's been like, you know, that's been a little bit of time ago when we sat outside of that memorial service and we had that conversation. And now where we are today. And so we, again, just want to highlight, I think you're an amazing chef. And I think you have amazing information for people who have a desire to do what you're doing or have done in your life. I mean, you've owned a restaurant that, you know, I would like give my eye teeth to go to like right this second. And, you know, the unlikely connection again. It's just kind of like Kerry and I, it's like you and I. I mean, I didn't know who owned Sycamore Grill when I first went there and had a lovely meal. I didn't know who you were. Yeah. But, you know, the universe conspires to bring the right people together at the right time. And so that's what I feel happened to us. That's what I feel happened to Kerry and I. So this is the premise of this show. And I just appreciate you taking your time out from the lab.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Kind of still sheltering in place. So anytime I can get to talk to people who love food and love wine, I'm there.
Yeah.
I am so there. And it was such a pleasure meeting you, Kerry. I've heard so much about you. And I'm excited about your vision for what you want to do with this project. And I think it's because, as Regina said, where we are right now and wanting to make that human connection and bond and continue to bond with people that share like passions. It's an awesome thing. So yeah, thank you for doing this and including me in this episode. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you.
Welcome to the community, Paula. I mean, I just am thrilled to have this conversation with you, and I'll look forward to more in the future. And I'm going to come there and visit in Atlanta and hear your wonderful food.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, we got to have a wine dinner for Kerry.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Wine dinner for Kerry.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Oh, and you know, and I'm holding everything. The first wine dinner that I do or event, look out, because it's like you're bottling up all of this stuff to just like get to some more.
I
so
know
the first group that I did, they were like, yeah. Okay, but I'll be ready. Clearly.
Okay. Cheers to that. All right.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
All right.
Cheers, ladies. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, everybody.
All right. See you soon. Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.